Hello everyone and welcome. Today I've got the RC78 Trans Am back on the bench once again. If you've been following along with this project, you'll know that it's a bit unique as this is my first build to use a 3D printed leaf spring rear suspension. I'm also planning on installing a brushless motor with some serious power under the hood, so that should certainly be interesting. I've got the motor I plan on using with this car ordered, but it's going to take a few weeks to get here, so I'm going to have to be patient until that arrives, but I have already come up with a simple motor mount design that will fit this chassis. I'm anticipating this motor having some pretty serious power, at least for its size, and these brushless motors tend to get pretty hot, so I'm keeping that in mind when designing the mount, making sure that it's strong enough. Speaking of design though, the real focus of today's video is going to be designing and 3D printing a custom shallow interior piece for this Trans Am body. Although the current interior tub, which is the one included with the model kit, looks pretty good and fits well, it doesn't leave much room at all for the RC electronics, especially if I want to use a brushless motor and ESC. So the solution here is rather than hack up the interior that's included with the model kit or blacking out the windows and not even bothering to add an interior at all, I'm instead going to be designing my own shallow interior piece. It may not have much depth or detail, but it's at least something to look at, and it will leave plenty of room on the chassis below for the electronics. It is a bit of a compromise, but I think in the end it should look pretty cool. Now last year I uploaded a video showcasing how I take physical objects such as this Trans Am body and create a digital 3D model using a 3D scanner. That 3D scan, although in this case pretty low quality, will help me to create a design that should fit this body very well. If you'd like to check out that video, I'll include a link to it below in the description. As you can see, I have the 3D scan of the body to work from, but I also have some images of the body that I've positioned and scaled accordingly, which will help me with the design as well. With these images and 3D scan in place, and ensuring that they are scaled correctly within Fusion 360, I can begin designing the interior piece. So this interior piece is going to be quite similar to the one that I designed and printed for that AMC Gremlin drag car build that I did a while back. In fact, this is the same driver and seat figure that I designed for that project, which I'm reusing here. This piece isn't going to have a lot of detail, nor will it be very deep, but hopefully it'll look alright once painted and added to the car. One thing that I did add though was a full roll cage. They're fun to design and I think it should look pretty cool in the finished car. When designing the roll cage though, I wanted to be careful not to make it too tall because the window piece that this kit uses is pretty thick, so I needed to leave at least a few millimeters of distance between the cage and the top of the body just to be safe. Overall though, it turned out looking pretty nice, especially as I didn't spend too much time designing it, so I 3D printed this piece using an SLA 3D printer. Now generally, it would probably be a good idea to 3D print this on a FDM printer first to serve as a prototype to ensure that this interior piece will actually fit the body, but I guess I was feeling lucky, so I just went ahead and SLA printed this part. As you can see, there's a bunch of supports that are there to support the part while it's being printed that need to be carefully removed. It's still a little rough looking, but here's a look at the finished part. Of course, it's going to look a lot better once I've done a little sanding and painted it. Of course, the next thing to do from here is to see if it actually fits the body, and thankfully it does. It's a little hard to position it perfectly with just tape. After it's painted, I'll be gluing it to the body, but as you can see, it's a pretty good fit all around. The cage is a little low, especially in the front. When designing this, I really wanted to make sure that the roll cage was going to be low enough to fit, but seeing it in the car now, it could go up a few millimeters and still be fine. Of course, the important thing is that this interior piece leaves plenty of room below on the chassis for the electronics to be mounted. I'm definitely looking forward to when those electronics arrive so I can continue on with this build, but for now, here's a little update on this project and a look at how I created this custom interior piece. I certainly hope you enjoyed watching this process. The STL file for this interior piece has been posted onto Patreon if you're interested in printing one for your own project. This should fit all 1/25th scale AMT 2nd Gen Firebird and Camaro models, not just this 78 Trans Am body that I have here. But that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.